Hey, how's it going, everybody? We're here on site in West Miramar, and right now we're doing a little bit of an electrical change and an upgrade for a client. He had installed this brand new pool back in, I believe it was 2019, and has a Hayward variable speed pump where there's no automation, so everything is ran, the timing and the schedules and the speeds are all ran from the computer system on the top. And they have also a standalone Hayward Aquarize system that they didn't quite install the electrical properly. And let me show you exactly what I talk about. Alrighty, so here is the Hayward VS pump right here, and we have the standalone Aquarize 900. And the issue that we were finding was that this unit was powered to the line side where it was hot all the time. Now, I will go ahead and I will tell you that that is not recommended whatsoever by Hayward. This technically could potentially void a warranty if anything was to happen, and a warranty station for let's say Hayward or any manufacturer comes down and find it to be this way, it could potentially void your warranty or just damage your equipment, and it's not going to allow it to last as long as it does. So what tends up happening is that when this unit is wired to the line side, what we call the hot side, and is powered all the time, when the schedule of the pool pump turns off, this stays on. Now when this stays on, it's still trying to send power to the cell, and what tends to happen is that over time throughout the period of the night when the system is off, this unit is trying to record the levels of the salt, it's recording the levels of the salt to be at 0, and the next day when it turns on, it's gonna incorrectly show that the salt levels are low, and it's gonna throw an error code, and it's gonna start throwing codes that the salt cell needs to be inspected, and inspect the cell and check the salt and all these different factors, and it's gonna potentially cause the pool to not, the pool chlorinator not to chlorinate the pool properly, thus having issues with your chemistry. So what we have done was we've opened up this junction box right here, and we located the wires that are going to the pool pump, and we're going to leave those wired to the line side, and we're going to relocate and rewire the two wires that are coming in to power the unit, which is 240, and we're going to install a brand new timer. So let's go check it out, what we've done so far. So here we have our main power coming in, powering the panel, and then we have our GFCI circuit breaker right here, where got a little ahead of myself before the video, but basically all the wires were all tacked up together and all wired together with the wire nuts. So we relocated it, we figured out which wires are there, and we're installing a 220 timer that's gonna manage the clock for the salt system. And we're gonna run it in series with the schedule of the pump, so that whenever that pump turns off at the end of the night, this is gonna turn it off, thus saving us from having this issue. You cannot have a salt system that's powered to the line side all the time. It has to be either on a timer, and it has to turn off. So we're going to continue with the wiring of this. These two wires right here are for our salt system, which is on the low side of this timer. I'm going to finish up the wiring, and we're going to show you how this is going to operate right now. All right, so here you go. We have everything all wired up now. Got the pool pump wires directly into the circuit breaker. On the line side, we have the wires from the breaker feeding up into the timer to power the timer, and we have our timer wires going down to the salt system for the load side. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna turn this on here. I'm going to show you how everything here operates. Notice that we have this in the off mode right now, okay? Now, as you can tell, we have the pool pump is power on, okay? And the timer is off, and it's engaged on, okay? let's go ahead and we're gonna go in and we're gonna turn on our timer to send power to the salt system. There we go. Now we're gonna get power to the timer. You see here, so now we're showing 2200. Okay, this was an average, and I'm gonna turn off the pump. This was an average of what the salt system was reading over the nights and over the course of the days of operation when the unit was turning off. So it wasn't reading the salt levels, which dramatically is going to start to reduce it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this panel back on, and then I'm going to come back and show you how to rectify this and resave the true values of the pool once the pump is on. So we're going to do that right now. All right, so we got everything finished here. We've already checked out our pump, and our pump is running from 9 to 8 o'clock p.m. But I'm going to stop it about half an hour short because I'm going to let this salt system cool down. So we don't need it to be cooled down in the sense of not producing and cooling down effect. So we got it set from 9 to 7:30 p.m. That's our timer right there, set at 4 p.m. That's current time right now. And when it comes to the pump, I'm going to show you everything here is back up running again. And once the system finishes its check system, right there. See, we're at 2800. Still waiting for the pump to prime. I opened it to clean the basket. As water's moving in, you're gonna start seeing this. It's gonna start to raise up. We're gonna turn it off right now to allow it to reset itself. Okay, I'm going to turn it back on. I'm going to wait to hear a click and to see these values start to move. There's a click. There goes our amperage. There goes our production power percentage. Negative 3400. This is where you want to resave it right here. Go up superchlorinate, come back down to auto. There you go. All right, so thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you learned something regarding the Hayward Aqua Systems, the AquaRite. It needs to be on its own independent timer. If you have a variable speed pump, it cannot be directly wired to the hot line side. It has to turn off in series with the schedule of your pool pump. If you need help with this, you can contact either your local pool contractor or hire a licensed electrician to do this job for you. Thank you so much. Post your comments down below and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here on location. I want to show you another example of how these pool builders slash equipment installers slash electrical contractors are setting up these pool equipments, selling and putting into code the variable speed pumps. And you know, a lot of these pool builds are coming with just standard timers, no automation systems. They're selling variable speed pumps, they're selling salt systems, which is all great. All of it is great. But what's happening is the way that they're connecting the salt systems to the system is incorrect. And I'm going to show you why. So right here on this equipment pad, we have a variable speed pump We have a salt system, we have a heater. It's not really in your filter, standard stuff. It's all a Pentair equipment. But what's happening is this variable speed pump, some variable speed pumps like this one, they have a computer module that's sitting on top of the motor where you can program your schedules, your times, your days, your RPMs, and all those different factors. Or you may have a standalone variable speed pump that's through either an app or a controller, and those are not being automated through an automation box by no means. And then there's standalone salt systems like the Pentair iChlor IC30, or you have your True Clear, you know, all these different models. And what's happening is that the electrical connections for the salt system is being wired incorrectly. So let's say you have your pool pump, your variable speed that's turned on at 8 a.m. goes through all the cycles, RPMs, and all the different settings that you have it do during the day, and let's say it shuts off at 6 p.m. Well, from 6 p.m. when the pump shuts off, all the way through the night, up until the early morning hours when the pump is supposed to turn on again, the system is off, but the salt system is still being powered. The salt system is still on, and what's happening is your salt system is still being sent the power to it. The sensors on the inside are still trying to activate. They're still trying to have the salt system turn on, but the values of the salt levels, if you have a salt system that records and gets the average of the salt levels, the salt level average throughout the night is being misread. And then when the salt system turns on in the morning, you're having a misreading. And that's where probably a lot of installers, when they come to these systems, whether it be on the, like this one is a Pentair IC30, where the controller, you can control up and down of the output. You can go into the menus and check to see how much salt is in the water per the unit, and the average is being thrown off because the system has no flow and it's not recording the values continuously throughout the night because there's no flow water going through there, but the unit is still have power present at the cell. So let me show you exactly what's going to happen. I just got to this unit right now. The pump is off. Let me show you what's going on. All right, so here you go. We're about 8:30 in the morning right now. We have a Superflow VS pump that is scheduled to be turning on any minute now. This is the standard electrical system that we're seeing here, okay? That's the transformer that powers the salt system, okay? I'm gonna come over here, open up the timer box. All right, so we have here, this is the kill switch for the filter pump, and see, that's the flip. I wrote this little note for any one of my techs, so if they need to turn off the salt system, that's where they turn it off from there. Okay, but see, the problem that's going on here is this salt system is powered hot to the hot side, to the line side of more likely it's wired inside of this timer here, and the load side, there's nothing there. And I'm gonna show you exactly what happens when the system, the pool pump is off, but power is still being ran to your salt system. Okay, so this is what's happening all overnight, let's say with this iChlor. So it's reading that the salts are bad, it's reading that there's no flow. We have a 10% output, okay? That doesn't really matter, but what's happening is this. When you go into the menu, you press and hold the more button, all right? That's the hours of operation. That's your temperature. Look what it's showing here, 2,172. Now, I know these values that's inside of this pool, the values that's inside of this pool is over 3,500, the actual true values. So what happens is this, okay, overnight, this is still being powered, and those values are of the levels being recorded of the average salt levels in the pool are starting to decrease overnight because there's no water flow. So since there's no water flow, this unit is recording and those levels are dropping dramatically. So when your pool pump turns on, okay, and we're gonna manually turn it on here. Okay, make sure that we press, okay, that's good. All right, we got a pool pump on. All right, we're gonna get water to start flowing through here. See, now we start getting flow and the cell light is on. We're producing here, but this is gonna keep flowing and it's gonna stay red there. I've dealt with this issue many times, and because that salt level is low, we're gonna go in there back again to show you. Yeah, it's not there yet. It's gotta go through this thing, but nevertheless, we're gonna come back. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run a salt strip test. We're gonna test the values of the actual pool, and then when this turns on, we're gonna actually show you what the system is showing versus what the tested salt levels on the strips is. We'll be right back. All right, so here I got the salt strips from AquaCheck. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna drop a strip, and we're gonna start testing and recording our salt values of the swimming pool. This is our pool here today. It's really dirty. We've had a lot of wind, always in February here in Florida, especially South Florida. We're very windy. A lot of wind blows. We have a lot of these trees, oak trees here, just blows everything into the pool. And nevertheless, show you how we record our values. Just take my test bottle, okay? Clean it. What I do is I typically drop it just above the 25 milliliter mark there. Open up my I'm gonna do this on every pool that I'm testing with, and I'm checking the values and making sure and comparing it especially if I have an issue with the salt system. The salt systems, they have the values that you can check on them. Always use salt strips in those type of systems to check any errors that we may be finding. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to clean this pool, and when I finish, we're going to come back, I'm going to see those recorded values, and we're going to compare it to what the salt system says. So this is probably going to take me about 20 minutes, which is going to be enough time for that salt system to go through its checks, and we'll see when we come back if that salt system is still flashing red with that average recorded low values of salt in comparison to what our strip says. We'll be right back. All right, we finished the service here, about 20 minutes or so. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna check the salt levels right now. The test has already been done, typically takes about 3 minutes. All right, so you see that dark brown line there on the top, right below my thumb. That is when it's done. You see, you record the value of where it peaks at in between each main line, and right there between the 6 and the 7. Each smaller indication line is 0.2, so we're at 6.6, roughly right there, 6.6, a little bit more. So we take that 6.6 and we record that value on the side of the bottle, 6.6. We're roughly around 3,540 ppm of salt. Now, remember, when we first came, that salt system cell was recording 2,000, around 200 or so. So let's go back to check out the system right now. I'm gonna pick everything up, and then we're gonna go check everything out. All right, so I'm walking up. We can already tell, if you look at the pool pump there, it's flowing. It's been flowing for the last 20 minutes or so since I've been cleaning this pool. And look at the cell. This is what I'm talking about with the salt system. We already recorded that we had in the pool 3,540 parts per million or so. Let's just say 3,500 parts per million. This is salt levels blinking red. We're gonna go back in to the menu. We have it at 10% right now because the salt levels are, the flowing level is pretty high. press and hold the more button to get into the service side of this unit. Let it go when those 3 lights blink. Press, press. 2008. You know, that's not the year. So what's happening is overnight, this salt system, because it's staying on and there's no water flowing through it, the system is not recording the values properly, and those values start to drop. It's recording the values, but since there's no water flowing through it to keep those levels accurate, the levels automatically start to drop within the actual, the programming, or however this unit reads it with the salt level tester, the salt reader, and probe. This more likely is inside this unit. That probe is not registering or reading any water flowing through it, thus no salt levels flowing through it. So those averages are going to start to decrease over nighttime because it is still powered and no water is flowing through it. So in the morning time, when it turns on, those levels are going to be lower than what's actually in the pool. And if you as a servicer or you as a homeowner comes to your salt system and you see it's flashing, or you see saying salt levels low, do not go ahead and throw a bag or two or do your calculations. Always test your chemistry, test your salt levels before. And with this in particular issue that we have a variable speed pump that the controller is on the pump, so the time, date, schedules, RPMs, everything is recorded there. This salt system is a standalone unit. It's not wired on any kind of a timer, okay? It's wired to the line side, which is the hot side, which is, as you can see, it's always powered on regardless of the pump being on or pump being off. Power is always present. So this needs to be changed over, and we're gonna have to notify our client about this. But nevertheless, it's pretty much an easy fix. At least they have a timer inside of this box where we can just redirect the wires for the salt system and put it on the load side. On this timer, there's 4 connector points. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, where 1 and 3 is your line, your main power coming from the panel coming in, and then you have your load side, which is your equipment side being powered. It needs to be run on the schedule. So I have to take the load side, the salt system wires off of the load side and transfer them off of the line side, transfer them onto the load side, and then put the 2 pins in there, and you run the salt system schedules in conjunction with the salt system, the pool pump schedule. So very simply, have to rewire the salt system onto the timer. If you don't have a timer, you do have one of these boxes and you don't have a timer, like in our other example where we did the swap out, where we added a timer for the Aquarite system. They were on the variable speed pump from Hayward. Same scenario, just a different brand. We had to install that timer there, rewire everything, set the schedules of the timer for the salt system in conjunction with running at the same on and off schedule of the pool pump. So each time that the pool pump turns on, and then right before the salt system, the pool pump turns off, I like to turn my salt system off about, give it like that half an hour difference, allowing water to still flow through it. The salt system has done its job. Half an hour is not going to make any big difference within chlorination of the swimming pool, unless if you're having an issue with it, that's a different story. But I like to shut mine off if I had this way of doing it, where connected it to a regular timer that only runs the salt system. I'll turn my off pin at about half an hour before the pool pump turns off. Salt system turns off, pool pump runs for an additional half an hour, letting that water cool down that cell and preventing any scale from forming or reducing the formation of scale, because that's how scale happens inside the salt systems. It's one of the factors of scale buildup is heat. These systems, they do create heat. So this is one great way to kind of reduce that factor by a little bit, by a fraction of a chance. Turning off the salt system half an hour before your pool pump turns off, and that allows the water to cool those blades, reducing it by a fraction. Something that I learned So you could take it if you want to, but this is a major issue that I'm seeing, and I think that this is a great tutorial for anybody to get a little bit more educated on how to install salt systems on standalone VS pumps that are controlled either by a computer that's on the pump or by an app or a controller, and the salt system is not being managed by anything else. It has to be put on a timer, and that timer schedules need to be run in conjunction with your pool pump. Well, if you have any questions regarding this, please put your comments down below. Like and subscribe to my page. A lot of more great educational tutorials and repairs and things of that nature. I'm going to go ahead and notify my client that this needs to be done for him. If I get it soon enough before this video is uploaded, we'll show you how this swap out is done. This one already has a timer, so more likely it'll just be a service call fee of electrical rewiring and scheduling the pins on the timer. Again, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have this problem out there, the one way to check it is turn your pump off. If you have a standalone salt system, whether it be you have a Pentair IC30 iChlor, you have a standalone Hayward Aquarite system, or you have a TrueClear, Jandy TrueClear system. There's other standalones, but those are the three major ones out there. Turn your pool pump off and see if that panel or see if that cell is still illuminated. If it is, you gotta switch it around and you gotta add a timer. Thank you again. To the next one. I know I said I was leaving, peace out, video, go to your next one, but I just found another example of a standalone salt system. But this example is a little bit unique. This is on a 2-speed pool pump with a 2-speed digital timer that I thought that it was a really good to show you. This is just another example, a very unique example on a standalone salt system that is wired to a timer, but this is a 2-speed timer, and regardless of it being on the low speed setting or on the high speed setting, this salt system stays on all the time. So let me show you what I'm. So here is our system here. We have a 2-speed Hayward, I believe it's a TriStar pool pump. Okay, this is the digital 2-speed timer from Intermatic. Okay, we have circuit 1, circuit 2, and circuit 3. And circuit 1 is for the high speed, circuit 2 is for the low speed, and circuit 3 is for our pool lights. Okay, so this is on a 240 volt system. All right, multi-voltage, which is we have multiple voltages going in here. And this is our standalone Aquarite system like we had in the beginning of this video. Same setup, same everything. Right now we're on the low speed. I don't know if you can see it, but auxiliary 1 is on. We're going to turn it off. Our pool pump turned off. And this system stays on all the time. Okay, even if we throw it into high speed, right, everything starts to work. But the same rules apply, regardless of it being on a high speed setting or on a low speed setting. This salt system stays on all the time throughout the duration of the hours of the nighttime, and the values get not recorded properly. The averages start to come down. It throws a check salt and spec cell light all the time. And it just hit me up until, you know, all these systems started to noticing it and thinking about the reasons why this is happening. And it just so happens I came in the early morning hours, checked the salt system. I noticed that the salt system was blinking. The pool pump wasn't running, and that's when it dawned on me. So with this specific system, we're gonna need to put it either on one circuit. This system, this Hayward Aquarite, it is wired to the 240 side, which would have to be left on the high speed side. So there's two ways that you can do it with you have a 2-speed setup. you can either, depending on your features of your specific swimming pool, and this is where I'm going to tell you the difference on if you want to set up your pool pump timer and your salt system to run in conjunction with your low speed setting for the schedule and duration of that schedule of the low speed setting, or if you want to set up your salt system on your high speed setting and run it through the durations of your high speed setting, depending on the features of your swimming pool. Okay, and this is what I'm talking about. If you have a, let's say a pool only, and it's just a pool only, and you want to have, and let's say you don't have a vacuum system, an automatic vacuum like a Hayward Navigator, a Penta Dorado, a G3, an MX8, whatever, you have an automatic vacuum cleaner, suction side. Suction side cleaners need and demand a certain amount of pressure for them to operate. So if you have a cleaner on your pool, you're going to need your setting to be on the high speed for it to work. On the low speed setting of a standard 2-speed pump, it's 1,750 RPMs. It's not enough suction pressure for it to operate the vacuum cleaner. So if you have a salt system, standalone salt system, and you have a vacuum cleaner, then you may want to flip your schedule of your 2-speed timer to run more durations of time on your high-speed setting. Yes, you're going to consume more energy, but regarding your features of your swimming pool. If you have an automatic vacuum cleaner, you want to set it up, or if you have a shear descent wall and a vacuum cleaner like this, like my client here, and I'll go ahead and I'll show you his pool. See, he has a pool only, okay? He has a shear descent wall, and he has a Hayward Navigator vacuum cleaner. So for this specific pool, I'm going to set up his salt system on the high speed side, extend the hours of operation on the high speed side, maybe about 6-7 hours. That's good enough to get enough chlorination and circulation for the vacuum cleaner to work. If he wants to throw on the shear descent, he can throw on the shear descent, and he doesn't have to come over here and keep switching back and forth. And I'm going to set this up during the majority of the day when most people utilize their pools. So figure I'll set up his high speed between, let's say, 8 a.m. and 6 or 7 p.m. And then the duration of the time, let's say another 4 or 5 hours of run time, is going to be on the low speed side. So his shear descent won't work, the salt system won't work because it's not going to get enough power on the low speed side, and his vacuum cleaner won't work. So if you have a pool only and you don't have any features and it's just a pool, you have nothing crazy, no bubblers, no shear descents, no vacuum lines, then you want to do it the opposite. You'll set your salt system on your low speed side, okay, and extend the low speed hours, saving yourself some money because you do not have any features. And then you can run your high speed side for a small amount of hours, let's say 3-4 hours of the day. And during those 3-4 hours, your salt system is not going to operate because it's not getting the power. Now, when the pool schedules, whether high or low, shut off and your pool pump turns off, your salt system is going to turn off. So all this time of us talking here, whatever that's been here, about 6, 7, 8 minutes, whatever the counter is there on the clock, this pool has been off. And I want to show you. This pool has been off and this salt system stays on. Okay? No flow. It's illuminated. Okay? And this is what's happening overnight. Now what happens overnight, this salt system is powering the cell, and inside this cell it has the flow sensor, it has the salt readers, it has the flow sensors here, it has the salt reader and the temperature sensors, and that's always being on. And I wonder if this browning that's going on here, because it's being powered, electricity is flowing through there, I wonder if that thing inside of there is getting hot. That also is a main point of the salt system possibly scaling up. If you are getting a lot of scale, that could be a factor. It's getting hot inside there. There is still a little bit of water that's inside of there, and it could potentially be scaling up or starting the formation of scale because of the heat. But see, now if this system was set up on either the high-speed circuit or on the low-speed circuit, or completely off, this system would turn off. And that's what we need to do. I've already got the approval from my client. If you have a 2-speed setup, depending on your features, depending on your pool, you have pool and spa, pool only, waterfalls, bubblers, shear descents, floor jets, whatever. If you have features and you need more speeds and a higher pressure, you need to put it on a high speed. If you don't have any features, you don't have a pool and a spa combo where your spa spill. If you have a pool and spa combo and you don't have no features, you're gonna need to put it on a high speed because you want that water to flow over, depending on your pressure, your pool, and how that trickles over. It depends on your liking, but for this particular customer, we're gonna set it up on the high-speed side, run those time durations, and you can play with it how you want to. It's just a matter of adjusting the electrical. So I figured this was a good rendition. This is on a 2-speed setup, 2-speed pump. It needs to be where either one of these circuits are off, that salt system is off. If we're on the high speed and the high speed is not on, and we're running on low speed, that system is not activated. When it's on high speed, that will activate, or vice versa. And most importantly, when this pool pump is off, that salt system is off. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you learned a little bit here. And this is truly the end of the video, unless we get the approval and I haven't uploaded this video and I show you the changes and things of that nature. But stay tuned. We may be on the subsequent part 2. Let's go. Okay, everybody, we're here back at this this pool here. I had to make a point to do this job for the salt system. A continuation on the salt cells not properly wired up. They're wired hot all the time. So even though the pump is off, then these salt cell stays on the whole time, which causes the average of the salt levels to become incorrect, which throws an error code. And then this is typically what you'll find. Our swimming pool is not looking the greatest right now. Probably hard to see, but has a tinge of green going on to it. And that's because salt cell thinks that there's a problem and that the salt levels are much lower than what they actually are. And because of the average, because it stays on all night, no water's flowing through it, those averages start to drop, and it gives a false reading. And when the pump turns on in the morning, it throws the error code like it's low on salt because the average has dropped throughout the night. So anyway, here inside, and we've already done all the changes. This timer was already here, but it was never wired up. So I'm gonna just briefly discuss the way that this was wired. This switch right here, this is our main power coming in. This is our pool light switch. Okay, on the very bottom, we had the main power coming in, and on the top is our load side of the switch. We had our pool pump and our salt system tied there. So that's why before I used to have this note right here to turn the salt cell off, but that was me finding out a way whenever I needed to clean the system, because this switch would turn off the pump, and it would then at that point, and the cell would always stay on. The cell would turn off at the same time, but when it's on, the program is being ran by the computer on top of the pump. All right, so again, main power coming into the switch. On the load side, we had the salt cell and the pool pump. So what we did was we went ahead and we located the wires for the salt system, and we redirected them and wired them up to number 2 and number 4 on the load side of this T104 automatic timer. Then we got some new wires, wired it into the to the line side, which is the hot side of the switch, and wired it up to number 1 and number 3. So that this timer, regardless of this switch being off, we're always having power. Okay, so if I was to throw this on right now, after it's being wired, you see that our salt cell turns on even though our pump is off. Now, when I throw it off, our salt cell is going to go off. So now All that's left to do is we're going to put back our main panel, and then we're going to go through the settings and the program schedules of the pool pump, find out when our start time is, when our stop time is for the whole entire cycle of every day, and then we're going to run that in series with our timer. And typically, like, let's say for example, if this pump turns on every day at 8 a.m. and it turns off every day at 8 p.m., I'm going to set this timer to turn on at 8:30 in the morning, and I'm going to have it shut off or 8 o'clock in the morning rather, and I'm going to have it shut off at 7:30 p.m. to give the cool down period for the salt cell. I find that to be very good, to have a little bit of a cool down period when you're able to set up a salt cell after, separately from the pool timer. You're able to achieve this, and the cooling down period is for the simple fact that you get the water is flowing through the cell to start to cool down those blades, because that does create the cell blades, when they are activated, they do create a little bit of heat because there's electricity present there, even though the water is flowing through it. And through much research, I have found out that once a pool shuts off and those blades are shut down, there's no more water flowing through there when the salt system stays on, and those blades remain hot. Thus, heat creates a little bit of a calcification. So that's the way I'm gonna set it up. I would highly recommend for you to set it up, find out the schedules of your pool pump, and run it at the start time of the pool pump and about 30 minutes before the pool pump was to turn off. Thank you so much. Hopefully you have figured out that this should be the way of going, and hopefully you follow this. And if you need any help, just post your comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our page. Share it out to other people, because this is a very good tutorial and something that I'm seeing that's happening on a very high occasion. These installers are installing these salt cells in this manner with standalone VS pumps, and they're wiring the salt cells hot. So again, thank you very much. To the next one. Well, I'm gonna put on my filter pump, and you can notice that our salt cell is off. Filter pump is on. Timer for the salt system on.